I'm CK. Tonight we've got a dual low pass gate filter from Herzlich. It's the Omen. Two low pass gate filters in one, lots of resonance. You can actually use the gate filters independently or together, and there's just lots of things to do with it. So it sounds like it's going to be a very juicy filter, and that'll be fun. So we'll put it together and hear how it sounds. Hope you enjoy the video. Here's the bag. Has a QR code to get the build guide, and it's from Herzlich. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. Picked this up from Thonk, and these folks are out of Copenhagen. I have not done a unit from them before. Let's see what we got. Some stuff, some stuff, some stuff. There's the front panel, some more stuff. Lots of little bags. That's too bad, but I'll deal with it. And here's their sticker. Put that on their sticker wall. Let's look at the front panel first. Here's this Omen version 1. Front 2022, dedicated to his son. That's nice. So we've got in 1, CV1, min max, I assume that's resonance, out 1, min max, in 2, CV2, oh, and then I know what that is, I'll figure it out. And then the out 2, or I think it's also the dual. If you don't have anything plugged into out, then you're going to get the combined, both filters combined into one, so it's 4 filters effectively. And here we've got the front panel. Board looks pretty good. Oh, this is version 2 PCB. Huh, interesting. Socket, socket, socket. All the, some resistors, all the values are printed on the board. Let's look at the back board. We've got 2 big thingies. 3 big thingies. I don't know what those are going to be. Huh. Got a little heartbeat on the back. So that's interesting. Let's look at the bits and pieces. Put the knobs. These are nice knobs. They're metal. They've got a plastic insert and no set screw, but they're metal and well machined. Some resistors, a couple of diodes, a couple of caps, some screws, caps hither and yon. Here are all the jacks. I'm going to leave them in their bag for right now. Here are, yeah, here's what I was talking about. Let me put this in a separate bin so you can see it. So these are the transmitter LEDs, and these will be the photodiodes, photoresistors they'll be transmitting into, so as the waveform changes, I don't know which waveform right yet. I'll have to look at the build guide or user's manual. The intensity of this will change, which means the resistance on this will change. And it looks like they come with little shells. So you can put them together like so you don't get, and I think these are all 3D printed, by the way, and nicely done. So I think what this is going to do, oh, they're going to screw together. Huh. They're going to screw together. Let me see if I can screw it together. Because the 3D printing threads is not the easiest thing in the world to do. No, it's not threaded, it's just going to be pushed together. So to keep ambient light from getting into that little contraption. What we have over here, we've got some more jumper kind of thingies, jumper pads, and some switches, and a couple of more LEDs for the front panel, I'm going to assume. And here we've got some other stuff. These are the things that go, where did it go? These are the things that go here. I hope I can solder them. If not, I've got some, I'm sure I can solder them. But I'm not sure what these are. These, excuse me. I mean, I'm sure these are the filters themselves, but I'm not sure exactly what that part number is. And some more pin headers to go into that other thing over here. These are not these are not jumpers, they're pin headers to connect the back to the front board. So that's all that's in here. Not a too complex a build, but looks very interesting. I'll bring up the build guide. I'll also look up that part number and see what it actually is. And I'll get the soldering iron heated up and we'll put this thing together. And these little guys are inductors. Thought they might be. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the 4 resistors and 2 diodes on the boards. And I haven't worked with this. The front panel looks very much like the circuit boards. I haven't seen this circuit board manufacturer before. Trying to pull the tape off the resistors. So we'll give a little check to see how it takes solder. And do just one of them first because we might have to clean up the board, give it a wash if it doesn't take solder as is very cleanly, so we'll see. So we'll just put that one in there first, grab some solder, see how she goes. Oh no, solders up very well. That'll be dandy. So we'll do the other 3 resistors and the 2 diodes. The markings on the board for the cathode side of the diode are very clear. Not much more to say, so enjoy resistor time. That's the resistors and diodes. Now one thing I will comment on, if you can see here, I'll go from the side camera, this is kind of pinkish red with white text. That's not really that readable. Kind of cute for no reason to be cute. Takes away readability. Black and white works really, really well. Now we're going to put the 2 pin headers on this board, and they're going to go on this side, of course, because the controls and jacks and so on are on that side. So we'll put them both on. Let me grab a piece of foam to rest this on. Try and get them through the holes without being too clumsy. And now we'll do 1 pin on each. Take a look at it, make sure they're both flat to the board, and they are. So we'll do the rest of the pins. Here's the pin headers. Now we'll do the opticouplers. So he does recommend that we use some super glue on the opticoupler. So I will grab some out. Where did I put that one? I already had one set up. Okay. This is gel super glue, so it doesn't set up all that quickly. It's not setting up quickly at all. Defeating the purpose of being super glue, aren't you? So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to take a little piece of tape and wrap it up. Let that one sit. Get the other one. A little piece of tape ready. Diode goes in first. Photoresistor goes in the shallower end, of course. I'll put a little glue on the inside here. Don't want to get any on the LED, of course. But while this is clever 3D printing, it's not really close tolerance. Man, see, it doesn't even, there's still a gap no matter how much you press it together. So I'll put a little glue in there. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. It's either going to be ready or not, and I think I'm just going to leave the tape on there anyway. Doesn't hurt anything. So bend the leads down. Of course, the gotta go the other way. I'm sorry, I didn't look at the way the. Oops, I was right the first time. I'm gonna break these leads if I keep bending back and forth. So you got to make sure you got the LED leads correct. The photoresistor leads don't matter. It's not a polarized component. But the LED, of course, is. Put one on. Come on. That's a pretty tall part. I'm going to put one of the pots on, just temporarily. Actually, it could be permanently, but no, I'm not going to put a pot on. I'll put a jack on because I'm having trouble. I just want to make sure how tall this is. Okay, so the front panel just barely sits on top of the Vectrola photo optocoupler, whatever you want to call it. I'll put the other one on now, and this time I'm going to do it without bending the leads back and forth 3 times. And of course I'm getting super glue all over my fingers because it isn't set up yet. There we go. And I make my weekly run for shop parts. I'll get some more super glue. I'm kind of surprised he wanted to build these Vectrols optocouplers himself. There's plenty of good ones out there. But probably part of the fun of designing the kit. That's that. Then we're going to do all the jacks, the switches, and the potentiometers. So I like to do it in this order. First, I've got to straighten these pins out on this pot here that were kind of bent up in shipping. And I'm going to flatten the support legs a little bit so they go in a little smoother. These are both 100K pots. Still not quite right. Still not quite right. The middle pin's not right now. These are smaller than normal or than typical holes for the potentiometer legs. And that's making it a little difficult to get them through. There's a lot of physical resistance. There we go. See, I generally put the pots on first because they, in my experience, they cause the most jostling on the board. And if you set your jacks in first and then put the pots on and you're fighting with the pots, all the jacks will fly off the board, which is not anything that will help your peace of mind. Okay, so the pots are on. There's two switches. See how tight they are. They're not tight at all. So put the jacks on next. Now I'm going to do what... Oh, I'm going to put the switches on. Sorry, I almost forgot. I'm going to check the switches, see how... Yeah, they're going to be... I could put the... Yeah, never mind. I'm going to put the switches on. And I'm actually going to drop the LEDs through also while we're here. Long leg to positive. Now what I like to do is take the front panel, put it on top of everything, and then I go around the back, and I'm gonna solder one pin on this jack and down this end. I'll make sure everything's completely flat. Actually, I don't need to worry about it on the potentiometers. And I'll do one pin on potentiometer. Flip her back around. Put a panel nut on the jack that I just soldered a leg on. And snug it down just finger tight, doesn't need to be too tight. And do the same thing with the potentiometer. That snugs everything up, and nothing's moving except the switches. We'll have to do that a little differently. I'm going to flip my soldering pad over and take advantage of the holes I put in it. And I'm going to solder all the... Oh, let me get the LEDs through while I'm here. LEDs are through. I just had it. Now I'm going to solder all these connections in fast motion. Okay, double check all those connections. Now we're going to do the switches. So take this little piece of foam again. I'll keep the switch pressed, if I can get it to sit straight, pressed against the board. But that's the front of it. So we'll move on. Now we'll do the inductors first on this board. And we'll treat them like many other surface mount parts. I'm going to coat that pad with some solder. Actually, I'll do all three while I'm here. And we'll take each inductor in turn and reheat that solder. And it's not going down. There's a lot of thermal mass on these metal plates. I'm going to put a little more solder on here. It's just not going on very well. Okay, that got it. Just need to have a lot of solder on that pad because of the way the metal on the back of the inductors is conducting the heat away very quickly. Now we will solder the other sides, put it in the little slit in my solder pad. I think they're good. Bounce it a little bit. Make sure nothing gets loose. Okay, so let's see, we've got to put the caps on now. It doesn't call out the values in this step. It's all the way, you gotta scroll all the way back up. And I don't want to do that. So I'm reading the values off the photograph he has. He does have lots of good photographs. Now, put the other side of the pin headers on. These are, I'm going to check this, and see the caps are going to touch. I can't do anything about it, because this one I can't lay flat. I could lay these a little bit flat. This one I can't lay flat. And there's that board. Could put them together now. May as well put them together now. These jack pins are interfering. So nip those off. I'll put this back again. And there, that's good. I'm sure there's good electrical contact. Yeah, see, again, I'm going to take this apart again. This leg of the switch is right on top of this cap, so there's a little gap in that pin header. Sorry, the camera's timed out. I don't think we missed much. I didn't notice that they weren't running. So that's the way it looks. I had to spread these out a little bit. Now I'll put the rest of the panel nuts on. Now we'll put the knobs on. The inserts are not real good on these knobs. That's on pretty, that's on okay. It's not great. These knobs, the inserts on the knobs are not great. But that'll work. Now one thing to be careful of, so this is not a powered unit, it's going to be completely passive. That's interesting. So that's the way it looks. One thing to note on these jacks, he uses plastic necked, threaded neck jacks instead of metal. So just be careful you don't try and tighten them too much or they will strip. So that's it, and we'll put it in the rack and see what a fully passive device like this sounds like. It's in the rack. Now, since it has no power, we don't have to worry about the smoke check, so everything's on. Let me plug my output into the output. I'm going to plug my audio in to one side. And oh, I've got to hook up the sequencer, that's why. So this is with nothing in it. Nothing's going on, it's just passing it right on through. Now if I take my LFO, I turn the LFO down, and put it into CV, got loud, number one. The LFO is going really slowly. I'm going to speed it up. Now you can hear a little chirpiness there. I'm gonna stop the sequencer. I'm actually going to move over to triggering this with a key. Oh, already got that plugged in. Slowed the LFO down a little bit. Going to change the position of the switch. Go full the other way. Going to slow the LFO down a little bit more. So you can hear it filtering. All pass and bring it back down low. So that's on one. Let me go ahead and take the output out of the two, which should give us what we currently have. Attenuate it a little bit because the voltage still has to go somewhere. Now I'm going to put we'll put a triangle wave into this one. I'm going to go real low. I'm going to go lower. I'm going to also change the wave that's going in there. Let me see what I got here. I'm still going to the same oscillator, just a different waveform coming out. Back to the other out. So that's what it does. It doesn't have a lot of bite to it. It's just kind of, as we can see, because it's not powered, it's just a passive set, similar to what you have on a electric guitar, that you're setting your frequency pass through the capacitors and the inductors built in. So it's interesting. It's good for a little bit of sound adjustment. I don't know if I'm going to use this in my full rack. The build was, as you saw, pretty straightforward. The only real problem was the knobs don't go on very well at all. That's unfortunate. And there was a little bit of interference between the bottom board and the top board, but we worked through that. So that's it, and I hope you enjoyed the video.